Aum Sri Sai Ram. My humble pranams at Bhagawan's lotus feet. Respected elders, dear sisters and brothers. At the outset, let me extend a very warm welcome to all those who have joined in today to this 11th edition of In Tune with Sai. In Tune with Sai is a series of inspirational talks by those who have had the opportunity to not just be part of Swami's educational institutions, but also had a very good fortune of being part of the Bhajan group, either as singers or as instrumentalists. And today, for this edition of In Tune with Sai, uh, we are privileged to have Brother Ravi Kumar, one of the most revered and respected singers, joining us today live from Prashanti Bhajan. Sairam Ravi, a very warm welcome to you from all of us in Delhi, and many thanks for joining us today. I am very fully aware how busy the evenings are for you, especially now that bhajans get over at 6:30. But you still managed to join us, and thank you once again for doing that.
Thank you for having me, Shyam. It's my pleasure and blessing to be here.
Thank you very much. Ravi joined Swami's school at the age of 7. And he completed his schooling from the Shri Satsang High Secondary School in 1988, after which he did his graduation from the Vrindavan campus, passed out in 1991. And thereafter, he did his MBA from the Prashanti Bhajan campus in 1993. Ravi is the recipient of all-round gold medal presented by Bhagawan himself for excellence in academics, sports, music, and cultural activities. In 1993, after the completion of MBA, Swami permitted Ravi to join the Sri Satsai Institute of Higher Medical Sciences, the super specialty hospital in 1990. And since then, he's been working there. Currently, he is a senior manager in the radiology department. We all know about Ravi's, how he started singing in front of Swami at the age of 7, and it is very well documented. But there are certain things which probably many of us are not aware of, and this is a revelation even for me today when we were talking, and he mentioned that outside of Prashanti Nilayam and Vrindavan, Delhi is the place where he gave his first ever talk way back in 2013, and that's an association of 9 years. And he did say that I think there's some connect that I have with the devotees of Delhi, that over a period of 9 years, I've had the opportunity of addressing all of you 4 or 5 times, recently, as recent as 2019, as part of the Samapan series. And Ravi, taking this further, taking this association that we have had with you, and taking advantage of my association with you over the last 40 years since our school days, I have a personal request to make today for today's talk. Mohabbat Ki Kami Dil Mein is a qawwali which was first sung by you in Swami's presence way back in 1989 as part of Sports Meet. And since then, we all know Swami has repeatedly again and again asked you to sing that qawwali. Surely there must be something which Swami liked. Surely there must be something where we can take some learning from that qawwali itself, either from the lyrics or from the way it was made. I'm sure there are lots of things that we can learn from that song itself. So today, if time permits, it's our request if you could share some bit of that with us today. I will end my small introduction with something which I always say whenever I have the privilege of introducing him for talks. Ravi was born to sing, not just for himself, not for others, but only for God. I hand over the session to you, Ravi. Jai Sai Ram.
Yes, Ram. Thank you very much, Sham. Om Sri Sai Ram. My most loving pranams at the lovely lotus feet of our most beloved Swami. Respected elders, dear sisters and brothers, all of you who have joined in from Delhi, who have blessed me with this opportunity to address you all, and yes, via this medium, via this electronic medium, anyone else who has joined, my sairams to all of you. In tune with Sai. This is such a beautiful phrase. And over the years, we have thought about this phrase because we have discussed about this on many an occasion. Whenever we thought about, because we are part of the music group, and tune is something that comes in our circles, in our discussions. So I have asked so many, our brothers, right, from back then through so many years of juniors. I have asked them what it meant to be in tune with Swami. What is to be in tune with Sai? And I got varied answers, and I'm sure, see, each of us have our own, description of what this would mean because of what experiences we have had with Swami. But because of this word tune, there is somebody who, one of our juniors, he came up to me and said, whenever Swami sings, प्रेम मुदित मन से कहो राम 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 राम. He said, when Swami sings this line, I try to follow this line exactly how Swami sings it. So that is how I try to be in tune with Swami. I said, okay, that is one interpretation. And when I asked a harmonium player, he said that, as soon as Swami starts singing a bhajan at the end of his discourse, then the harmonist tries to find out what is the note, what Shruti Swami has started in. And then finally they hit the right note. And then, everybody's eyes light up, the harmonium is, the whole bhajan takes off from there, to match Swami's melody. So the harmonist said that the moment I'm able to find the right Shruti that Swami has started the bhajan, then that is when I'm in tune with Swami. It's wonderful. And the tablis also has the same thing to say. It says, when I'm able to sync my beat with the rhythm that Swami has started the bhajan in, that is when I am in sync with Swami. And so that is my tune. And apart from that, of course, the tabla has to be tuned properly. Shyam knows very well, in the tabla corner in the bhajan hall, whenever Swami would be sitting on the throne above us, and then even if the tabla is a little out of Shruti, or if by mistake the tablist has picked up the wrong Shruti tabla and starts playing, Swami would immediately notice and he would look down at the tablist and say, change, 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 change the tabla, until the tablist picks up the right Shruti tabla and then starts playing for the bhajan. So that is the other aspect for the percussionists. First thing is they find the right beat to be in sync with Swami. Then they also find the right Shruti of tabla to play along with Swami's bhajan. So according to the tablis, so that is when they feel they are in tune with Swami. Then yeah, you ask the vocalists, they'll say yes. Tanpura ka jo sur lagta hai, if my sur matches with the sur that the strings of the tanpura gives me, that is when I feel that I am in sur, I am in tune. So is that all uh, it means to be, in tune with Sai, that we match our sur with Swami's sur, to match his note, to match the beat? No. In fact, for us vocalists, for us singers, when we would sit in the bhajan hall, for Swami, that that term Shruti was so important. So if anybody would go a little out of Shruti, like I mentioned about the tablis, if the singer were to go out of Shruti, Swami would immediately look down, give a little frown, and then say Apashruti. You're out of Shruti. Then we had to, somehow find the harmonium. Somebody would sing louder, and you will come back into Shruti. So related to this, Swami walked into the bhajan hall one day, and then that Swami had, newly he had put a silver statue of Lord Hanuman, which is there right below Swami's throne, to Swami's right. And it used to be right in front of us. So Swami asked, "Do you know why I have put Hanuman statue there?" And we all said, "We don't know, Swami." He said, "Any of you sing in Apaswara, that is, if you're Besura, if you're not singing on Shruti, Hanuman will give you a tonk on the head with his mace." This is a beautiful way of how Swami said that, Lord Hanuman is, he's also the Lord of music. And he said, I have put him in front of you as if for us, our Lord Sai was not enough. He said, I put Hanuman to actually give you a tonk on the head. So this is the tuning physically that Swami wanted in music with him. But like I was asking a little while ago, is that all that this tuning with Sai means? Now, I was talking about the strings of the Tanpura that we like to maintain sur with. I think to be in tune with Sai, we have to find that Swami is the only one. Swami is the only one tugging away at the strings of our heart. Swami is the only one we allow to tug at the strings of our heart. That is a usage to say that, someone makes your heart flutters, someone, makes you love him. That is Swami. When we allow Swami to be that one person who strums the strings of our heart, and we listen to that deep within our heart, that is when we are actually in tune with Sai. And what is that tune that he's playing in our heart? When can we hear it? We can hear it only in the depth of silence. Like Swami says, it is only in the depth of silence that the voice of God can be heard. So that is the tune that he's playing on our heart, on the strings of our hearts. And that is what we need to tune to. Tune in to find out, what is Swami asking me to do or to think or to say. And once we align with that is when we are in tune with Sai. And Swami says, you will have to, suppose you are, Swami in fact said this, it is written, the Sathya Sai speaks. He said that if you're tuning to a radio station or to a television station and you want to listen to the news, he says, if you don't tune it properly to the right frequency, you're not going to get news. You'll only get noise and you'll get nuisance. This is a beautiful way in which Swami plays with words, but that is so right. So in the same way, if we don't want nuisance, we have to tune in to Swami and Swami alone in our heart. And who is this Swami and where is he? He is inside us. He is as close as our heart is to ourselves. As Shyam was just mentioning about the Kawali, Mohabbat Ki Kami, he was there. Of course, the first time we sang this Kawali in front of Swami in 1989, Shyam was the tablist for this Kawali as well. And the innumerable times that Swami has asked us to sing this Kawali, I think the lesson that I take from that is, Zara jhaanko to paoge कि साई पास होता है. That is a very, very, very crucial line. And that is what, if you're looking to find the Sai who is pulling our strings in our heart, where do we have to look for him? We are not looking for him, in our, outside anywhere. Even on his throne, we are not looking for him. He said, he continuously told us, look inside. Because when are we seeing Swami on the throne? Even when we would see him physically, darshan for 2 hours, 4 hours a day, morning and evening put together. But what about rest of the time? What about rest of the years of our lives? Zara jhanko to paoge. So let us look within ourselves to find Swami and to find that tune that he's playing for us, and what he wants us to tune to. See, when there are people who are doing something well together, whether it is a jugalbandi, singer and a tablis, and an instrumentalist, or even in sports, say two cricketers, they have a very good partnership. We say in दोनों का तालमेल अच्छी है, they have a good partnership. Why is that? It is because you have a lot of understanding. You say that, for example, in cricket, they say, for example, these two batsmen, KL Rahul and Mayank Agarwal, they say that, they are good friends even off the field. So they have a lot of, coordination when they're playing cricket, and when they're running between wickets is very good, etc., etc. Why? And when they say that two singers are singing together, though he sings with everyone correctly, but when these two sing together, it sounds very nice. Why? There is a semblance of understanding that exists. And that understanding, what some of us could term as friendship, that understanding and that friendship, who is our closest friend we can have? The one who is closest, even physically and spiritually with us, is our Lord Sai. Once we connect with Him, then we can build that partnership and take it to any level. Swami had said during a summer course discourse in 2000, he said that when Sugriva met Lord Rama for the first time, when he set his eyes on Lord Rama for the first time, this is what Swami said. Swami said, Sugriva sensed the power latent in Rama and was eager to befriend him. Now, what sort of a friend should one have? Not the one who feigns loyalty but betrays with cunningness. Not the one who speaks sweetly but never matches words with action. He alone is fit to be called a friend who swears by the truth. And Swami went on to say how Sugriva found this in Lord Rama. So Swami was telling us that God is the one who will be loyal to you always, and God is your best friend. So what do we have in our lives? If we have to pray, if we have to ask anything, if you have to befriend somebody, if you have to have that talmail with somebody, if you have to be in tune with that best friend of ours, who is that? That is Swami. He will remain our best friend through our lives. And for that, what do we have to do? Loyalty. You have to be frank. Who else can we pray frankly to? Even my mother used to tell me that, if there's anything I need to ask, I will ask Swami in Prashanti Nilayam, or I will go to Swami's photo and I will pray to him there. If I'm angry, I will go and pour out my emotions there. If I have something to cry for, I'll go and cry in front of Swami. So he is the one we have to be frank with about everything. And I have a little incident which happened during our Brindavan days. Um, we had the summer course had had just restarted, and we were called to do a music program. So this was, not many boys were there, just few of us music group boys had come. And Swami called us into the interview room in the Trai Brindavan. And Swami was sitting, few of us were sitting around him, 4 or 5 of us. And normally when I would go home for vacation, I would come back chubby, eat mom's food properly, and then, take ample rest, and then come back looking much plumper. And that had happened over several years. And I had not known that Swami had noticed it. Obviously, he notices everything, but I was ignorant of that fact. So Swami looked at me before he asked us to sing our songs. He looked at me and said, Emra Ravi, you have not put on weight this time. And then I was a little embarrassed, but then I said, yes, Swami, I have not. He said, why did you not put on weight this time? And I wanted to start explaining to Swami that I put in a lot of hard work, to maintain my weight at what it was. And then there was an elder who was sitting behind me, and he was prodding me. He was actually poking me on the back and saying, "Tell Swami that you were away from him, and that is why you have lost weight." And for some reason, that was not that idea was not sinking with me, and I just kept quiet. And then Swami kept asking, "Yemra Ravi, why? Tell." And this person again was saying, tell the reason that I said. And I was not comfortable with it. So I was not saying anything. I was just keeping quiet. But Swami wouldn't leave. When Swami does this, he has something to teach us. And after 4 or 5 times of Swami asking me, I said, whatever this elder says, Swami is asking me so many times, so let me say. So I told Swami, I did a lot of exercises at home. Swami said, "Oh, exercise chesava. What did you do?" Then I told Swami, Swami, the loving mother, and a sweet friend that he is. I said, "Swami, I did skipping, then I did walking, and etc. etc." And Swami said, "Okay, okay, very good." And then it went on to other things. And then afterwards, Swami got up, and as he was walking away from us into his residence, it was time for us to come out of the interview room. Swami looked at this elder, pointed to me, and he said, "Adi, correct answer." And he just went away. And then later on, the lesson that I took from this is, Swami is somebody so close to us who actually knows everything about us. Are we trying to keep anything away from Swami? I don't think that is a wise thing to do. No, it is not. Definitely not. So that lesson I took that day was whatever it is, even the silliest thing like Swami, I did exercise so that I could not lose weight. He is our close friend, and we need not feign. We need not be cunning with him. We can be frank with him, and we can be lovingly, lovingly frank with our loving Lord. So that was one lesson that I had learned. And yeah, as part of the music group, we keep saying, there are so many lessons that we have learned, and quite a few of us have said about many of these lessons. Um, One thing that happened when I was in my 10th standard, there was this English drama called Here and There, which was put up for Swami's 60th birthday. There was also a Telugu dance drama, Radha Krishna, and there was Here and There. And in this Here and There drama, there is the plot of the story is that there is a student of Swami who passes out from here. He goes home, he gets into bad company, and then he gets into bad habits. Then he gets into trouble. He gets into legal trouble, and then the drama goes on to say how he transforms himself back to becoming good. So to get back into satsang. So every time Swami would come to see this drama in the college auditorium, we were little boys, but since we were part of the Radha Krishna Telugu dance drama, we all would sit around Swami's feet. And Swami would come to the auditorium and he would first ask for rowdy scene, he will say. Now, rowdy scene means it is a scene where, 4 or 5 of the friends of this student who has passed out and gone, they are literally dragging the student into some wrong habits. And then Swami will say, "I want this scene." And these elder brothers of ours, they would go and they would do a very good job on the stage of enacting that. And you could literally see Swami, even during the drama, he would be saying, na student, na boy chedipotunadu. Like my student is getting spoiled, getting spoiled. That is how Swami would get so involved. And then the scene would get over, and all the boys, the elder brothers who acted, would rush down and to come to Swami's feet for Swami's comments and what should be better. And Swami would always say, "Ah, you boys did a very good job of the scene. Why? Because internally you all are rowdies only. So what is inside is coming out very naturally. So you acted rowdy scene. Very good. You're all rowdies." And then the students would say, "No, Swami, no, Swami, we are your children. We are not rowdies." And it was a beautiful, mother and children interaction there. And then The interesting thing to note was Swami would not stop the drama practice session with that. After that, Swami would say, bring the transformation scene. And then the practice session would end with this student who gets transformed. Okay, so, one thing that we all learned from that was, for Swami, transformation of the human heart is of utmost importance to him. Whatever else we do in life, he wants us to transform. Whatever sadhana we do, like Swami asked that, that the youth from Hyderabad who said that, Swami, we are doing this seva, we are doing this bhajan, etc., etc. And Swami asked, Nilo emana marpu vachinda? That is, has there been any change in you? So whatever sadhana we undertake, Swami says it is for our personal transformation. And transformation of the human heart is Swami's biggest miracle. And there's another small thing that we learned from this. So while this transformation scene was to happen, so this student who gets into bad company, and then finally the police are after this guy because this fellow has done something wrong, and he gets to know that the police are after him. This is when he gets really frightened, and he thinks, that is when he thinks, oh my God, Swami, what have I done? So now the transformation has to happen. So the people who are, putting the drama up, Swami would be the divine director and he would discuss what is to be done. And so they were wondering, discussing aloud with Swami, saying, what is a song or music they should put for the transformation? And they were suggesting this song, that song, etc. Finally, Swami, after listening to everything, he said, transformation kosam mana bhajan pettali. For transformation, you should put our bhajan. That was such a huge lesson, saying that, obviously as part of the bhajan group, and, those who partake in this sadhana of bhajans, all of us partake in the sadhana of bhajans. I keep mentioning that for bhajans and sankirtan, it does not matter which side of the microphone we are sitting on. So it is a sadhana for all of us. And Swami said, for transformation, mana bhajan pettu. So then they went about thinking what bhajan to put, and they made a few suggestions, and then Swami picked this bhajan. He Ram Bhagawan, He Karuna Sindhu Ram, He Deena Bandhu Sai Ram, He Ram Bhagawan, He Karuna Sindhu Ram, He Deena Bandhu Sai Ram, He Deena Bandhu Sai Ram. And after this bhajan was chosen, Swami said, and I was one of those boys with a, with a child's voice back then. I didn't have this, a mature voice, so to say. So I was singing, and so in the mandir those days, and so Swami said, let Ravi sing this bhajan. And Swami made a mention that, when children sing with a pure heart, it touches God immediately. So that is another lesson to take, that, we must always be childlike in our innocence and in our, in the way we approach God, with frankness and with innocence and total love. So Swami wanted this, and then this is how it happened that, I was the son of a blind beggar, and I hold my father and I walk across the stage just singing this much of the bhajan, and this Sai student who had gone into wrong ways and was in trouble, he hears this, and that is the moment when he totally understands that he has done, he's totally got into the wrong group, and that he has forgotten Swami, and he needs to reconnect. He needs to tune himself back to Swami. And then he breaks down saying, "No, Swami," and then he breaks down, a lot of drama, and then the transformation happens. So when Swami would attend the the practice sessions until this transformation would happen, and then that is when the drama practice would stop for that session. So these are the few learnings that I had just around that one drama called Here and There, where Swami would come for the practice sessions. So another thing that I have noticed, what Swami does as he is the divine music in charge for all of us. There was a time when I was little, when boys would ask Swami, and then Swami would say, "Yes, this so and so can sing in the mandir," or he'll tell somebody, "No, you practice some more and then sing later." But then after a few years, Swami kind of appointed one of our senior brothers, sir, to be the in charge of the music group. And anytime any of the students would go up to Swami and say, "Swami, I want to sing bhajans in mandir," Swami would say, "Go ask your mother-in-law." That is how Swami would make fun, because it's a very tough position to be, because the in charge of the group is the one who says, "Yes, you can sing in mandir. No, you can't sing in mandir," and that's a huge, huge responsibility. And our sir has done it for years together, for decades, and with full love for Swami. And so Swami would say, "Go and ask mother-in-law." And I have seen instances of so many boys who have been kind of, rejected, and they would be dejected. And then they would go back to Swami and say, "So, no, Swami, please, Swami, can I sing?" Then Swami will say, "Did you ask mother-in-law?" He said, "Yes, Swami, but Swami, please, you give permission." And then Swami would say, "No, no, no, you go back, go back, go back, practice karo, practice, make, make your mother-in-law happy, as he's the one who should finally say yes." So, after seeing this for so much time, I just realized that if you are if you have given the responsibility of a particular function to somebody, Swami, the master that he is, he could just, say, "Yes, he can jolly well sing." Swami would not do it for anybody. How many other tears you would shed, he'll say, "No, there is no compromise on this." Swami has put somebody in charge, and he said, "I want him to discharge his duty fully, and I will not interfere." This was a very, very important lesson for me, that how Swami had reposed faith in somebody he had put as an in charge. And then apart from that, in the bhajan group, how much Swami would love timeliness. Everything had to happen at a particular time, on dot. And I was just, before the session started, the organizers of this session, it was so wonderful, how little they were counting down to the second when, you have to go live at this. I was telling them it was almost like like a satellite launch kind of a thing. So that lesson of timeliness, of being on time, we have learned from Swami in so many ways. Swami would be talking to the boys, and what does, a few seconds on the clock matter when the Lord is talking? But then Swami would look at the clock, and if the seconds hand has just gone past 12, then Swami will say, "Oh, really, really late happened. Bhajan, bhajan, Omkaram, start changing, start changing." This, and so many other examples. Timeliness is something that Swami wanted us to learn. Practice. I think all the bhajan workshops we have done, we have spoken so much about how Swami wanted us to practice. And so we say that it is not just practice for music. We all know that in any sphere in life, practice and preparation is what makes us perfect. Another thing that we have learned is how Swami wants us to do our primary duty perfectly, and then come even for bhajan. The caveat right in the beginning is, Swami wanted us to attend bhajans in the mandir. That is why we have the mandir, that is why we have the bhajan mandalis, that is why we have the samitis. We have a place where everyone congregates, and Swami has spoken enough about how, Sankirtan is what, Nama Sankirtan, our bhajans is what will take us close to Swami. So gathering together and singing together is what gives the energy, for everybody to go, together towards Swami. So that is, there's no debate about that. But I know there's some programming language where, you say IFF, if and only if you are unable to make it to a center for bhajan, then Swami said, wherever you are, you think of me, you do your bhajan sessions there, you do your bhajans manasika. If you're able to sing aloud, sing wherever you are, you do your bhajans. Don't neglect your duty. And I think I have mentioned earlier about this very senior person who used to sing along with us. And then Swami asked him, "Oh, you come here to sing bhajans before me." He was not a student. And he asked him, "How is your mother?" And after a lot of prompting, this person said that my mother is unwell. And Swami said that you leave your unwell mother and you come here to Puttaparthi to sing before me, and you think I will be happy? Your first duty is to take care of your mother. And so, why Swami does this in front of all of us is so that this enters our thick skull. We have to be taught these lessons. And it was a hard lesson for that, that poor person, but it was a lesson in advance for all of us that, a primary duty we must perform. I remember in 2001, we had this Kavali program where we sang a series. There was no convocation drama. Instead of that, we sang about 8 or 9 Kavalis. So Swami would attend these Kavali practice sessions. I was working in the hospital already by then, and the college would end a little before. The hospital ends at 5 o'clock in the evening. So Swami would call all the rest of the boys were either working in the ashram. Couple of them were working in the ashram. The others were students who were in the college. So college would end and boys would come to the mandir early. So they would all get called to the Purnachandra auditorium at times when Swami would want us to sing before him, and he would tell us how to sing, etc. And then those times I would always be late because I would wait for the hospital work to end. And then Swami would always say, okay, you start, do a little bit of practice. And then he would say, Ravi is still in the hospital. After the hospital work gets over, then he will come for practice. And that is when, I would rush in and go in for the practice at the end. And then on occasion, he has asked me, Yemra Ravi, hospital duty aipoinda? He used to ask me, is your duty over? I'll tell yes, Swami. He'll say, manchidi. And then he would start the practice. For Swami, this is a few days of practice that he had called us to hear. Could have just sent word that, I could come at any time. But this is again, beautiful Lord showing us and telling us that, no, I want you to do your duty. And then also your duty is to come to the mandir to attend the bhajans. That also becomes your duty. So I think at this juncture, I'll just sing a bhajan which is a prayer to Swami and asking Swami, wherever we are at whatever time, in our lives, whatever we are doing, Swami, be with us. Sai Ram, Sai Sham, Mere Sai Ram, Mere Sai, Mere Baba, Mere Prannath Ram. तेरे द्वार पे मैं आऊं, मुझे शांति दो भगवान मुझे शांति दो, भगवान मेरे जीवन में साथ रहो, साईनाथ है मेरे जीवन में साथ रहो, साईनाथ है। साई राम साई श्याम मेरे साई राम। Now for Swami, doing our duty is discipline. Now, as Swami would so beautifully say, to be a devotee, we think one must have devotion. Swami says, to be my devotee, you have to have discipline. And so, doing our duty automatically comes into discipline. And as part of discipline, there is a lot of disciplining that we have had, as students or, even as part of the bhajan group. And one big lesson that I had learned was when in my 8th standard I had started singing, and then one fine day, one elder brother said, we were given the privilege of sitting right under Swami's feet in the bhajan hall. And then one day when I, very cockily went and sat in my place, and one of the elder brothers said, no, come and sit outside, and this is where you're going to sit. And that fine day, I was not in the bhajan group, and that went on for a few months. And after a few months of intense praying, where Swami would see me, he would smile at me, he would bless me, but he would never tell me, come back to sing bhajans, which I was thinking, Swami, why? That my elder brother has, pushed me out of the bhajan hall. Aren't you seeing me, languishing outside and praying to you? Swami, please, please, please. And after a few months of this prayer, Swami allowed me to sing once again. And then, with Swami, an episode does not end until we have learned a lesson from that. So Swami, one day he picked me up in the bhajan hall after I had started singing regularly again, and he said, Ravi, do you know why I stopped you from singing the bhajans? And when I said, Swami, I don't know. Swami said, you talk too much. And that was the day I learned as a boy that we were boys with all the elder brothers around us. We were like little children, so there was a lot of frolicking, a lot of chit chatting, etc., etc. when we would sit in the bhajan hall. And Swami said, you talk too much, and that is the reason I had stopped you from singing bhajans. So that was a lesson learned very, very, very early in my bhajan singing. And there are other things that Swami has taught us during a bhajan session. No comments. Obviously, your a bhajan session is something you're trying to tune to Swami during a bhajan session, and you can't be making gestures. You can't be unnecessarily moving. We have had brothers who have been uh, literally stopped from singing in the mandir because they move too much during the bhajans. And a couple of my brothers, they were just behind the bhajan group, and maybe they found some bhajan singer's voice funny, or they found the beat funny, and they just looked at each other during the bhajan and exchanged, some meaningful glances, and with a sly smile. And Swami took notice of that, and above the sound of the bhajans, we could hear Swami saying from the throne, "Hey, baitiki pampistanu," means I will send you out. Now this is how much Swami had. He had a grip on everybody being disciplined. Where you have to be, how you have to be. Swami wanted us to be there, and discipline. All this, no excessive movements, no chit chatting, no commenting. All these are lessons that we learned there. Sitting right under his lotus feet. There's another thing, with how Swami has interacted with us. Obviously, Swami talks about Arishad Vargas that, all Swami's devotees, he says, one should avoid, get rid of your, the 6 bad qualities. One thing that Swami asked us in the bhajan group to avoid, definitely one is ego. You have ego and he goes, and he has told us in many ways, saying that, I will drop you from top if you're, if I find that you have ego. Another thing that he wanted us to take note of is jealousy. You know, he would tell, give chance to others. The moment you find that somebody, that is why Swami wanted, he said, he used to go on saying, all of you be like brothers. You are brothers. All of you be brothers, because there should be no scope of jealousy. Suppose somebody is doing something better. There is a better tabla player. There's a better harmonium player. There's a better singer in the group. Feel good about it. Feel good that your brother is singing better, and give chance. He would many times, uh, Paata Pandikukkulu, there's so many phrases Swami would use, like your old bandicoots, Swami would call so many of us. And then, the newer boys should get chance. Obviously, the caveat again here is that give chance not to anybody and everybody. As Swami would say, go meet the mother-in-law, and only if you pass the mother-in-law test, only if you pass, if you're qualified, by all means go ahead and give, chance. Swami is the one giving chance, but allow younger people to sing. Once we had come from Brindavan, and we had a program where for the sports meet we were doing a music program, and also for the sports function in the Hillview Stadium, there was a lot of music involved. In those days it was mostly live music, and that year there were a couple of new faces, some juniors of us who were in that. So we had finished the practice session, and Swami gave all of us Padnamskar, and then he asked me, he said, kotta pillalu unnara in the group. He asked me if there are new boys in the group, and I looked around, I nodded, I said, Aum Swami, yes, there are new boys in the group. He said, manchidi, మంచిది చిన్నపిల్లలకి ఛాన్స్ ఇవ్వాలి. He said, very good, you should give chance to small young small pill చిన్న పిల్లలు, small boys, that means anybody younger to you, give chance. And then he actually asked, బాగా పాడుతున్నారా. He asked, are they singing well? Then you get very nervous, and then you want to say, Swami, as far as I think, yes. So he said, అవును స్వామి. Then he said, మంచిది చిన్నపిల్లలకి ఛాన్స్ ఇవ్వాలి. So this is another lesson we learned, that uh, give, allow people to grow, and don't have any scope for uh, jealousy. And this, like I said, all these lessons we learned. What I'm saying now is what we have learned as part of the bhajan group, but obviously we have to imbibe it in all spheres. It is not as if, I don't have jealousy as long as I'm in the bhajan group. The moment I go to the dance group, there I'm allowed to have jealousy. No, in any sphere of life, whether it is at work, whether it is at home, whether it is with friends, Swami, tells us that we should adopt all these teachings of his in every sphere. I remember that in 1984, Swami had come to the hostel, and he watched a movie with us. That movie was Sakkubai. It's about Sakkubai, the great devotee of Vithala, and the trials and tribulations she went through in life, and how she did not let go of the feet of Lord Vithala. And Swami came to the hostel quadrangle. This is a movie in black and white, and there's a 16 projector put there, and Swami was there, and we were all sitting around Swami and watching the movie and enjoying everything. And there was this bhajan, this alap, which is part of a song which is later on incorporated as a bhajan that we regularly sing. But I remember this. रंगा 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 रंगा. Somehow, this alap got stuck in my head, and that scene, that whole, the atmosphere of watching it with our most beloved Swami there, and a devotee pining so much for the Lord, and that as somebody studying in the school, that somehow got into me thinking that the way to reach to the Lord is to pray to Him from the depth of the heart, and cry your heart out, and hold on to His feet, not physically if you could, yes, hold on to Swami, and then cry out your heart to Him. So that was something that was got imprinted in my heart. And the year after that, for some reason I started finding some subjects very difficult to study, and my marks started dropping. And I remember I went home for the winter vacation, and my uncle was at home, and my report card for one of the unit tests happened to come, and they were not good, they were bad. And my uncle said, can you tell me the West Indies cricket team? I was very happy. I said, yes, yes, I can say, it starts with Gordon Greenidge, there's Desmond Haynes, and there is Larry Gomes, there is Vivian Richards, there is Dujon, there is Marshall Holding. It's quite unbelievable that we can remember it till this date, 45 years later. But he said, oh, you can remember all this. So you remember their batting order, you remember who bowls, etc. Why can't you remember your physics and chemistry like this? And that set me thinking, but it didn't improve my marks. And funny as this incident was for me, I went back to the hostel and nothing was improving, and my health went down, and I was not able to concentrate on my studies anything more, and I was getting a little desperate. And then this thing that had got imprinted into me the previous year was that teachers, obviously, they are like Swami's reflection in our hostel. They would do their best to pep us up, to do everything, to give us additional coaching. We had to go to them with their doubts, and I doubt I went for asking any doubts. But one thing I did was I prayed to Swami from the bottom of my heart. I said, Swami, this is not happening. I mean, your studies are going down, your health is going down, and so what happens is you go down in confidence, and I was feeling generally very low. And then I started praying very, very fervently to Swami, saying that, Ranga, my Sai Ranga, you have to do something. And I kept praying to him. I would sing bhajans in the mandir, but this internal prayer in the heart would go on. One day, it was Dashera time, and I was part of the Vedam chanting group. So school boys, few of us, 6 of us went and chanted Vedam. After Vedam, when I went to take Swami's Pad Namaskar, I was the last to take Pad Namaskar, and then Swami, after blessing me, he said, wait. And then he asked for, they would normally take the Vedam mics off. So he told the person who was setting the mics to keep one mic there. Then he asked me to go and sing Brahmanda Nayaka Bhajan on the stage. So I went there. My voice was little voice then. Brahmanda Nayaka Baba Partipurishwar Baba चांद और सूरज तुमने बनाए नदियाँ सागर तुमने बनाए नदियाँ सागर तुमने बनाए अयोध्या नगरी तुमने बनाई द्वारक नगरी तुमने बसाई, शिरडी पड़ती तुमने बनाई. And I finished this bhajan, and Swami was visibly happy. He called me, gave me another Pad Namaskar, blessed me, patted me, and sent me backstage. And this quite literally pulled me out of the rut that I was stuck in. And yeah, everything, it gave me confidence once again. My health improved, my studies got better. I did not become a gold medalist in physics or chemistry after that, but everything improved after that. What I am trying to say here is that I learned a lesson that day, that if you're stuck in anything in your life, if you're stuck in a rut where you think I have nowhere else to go, we have our Lord Sai to go to. We have him. We have, all we have to do is pray from the depth of our hearts, and find his strings, in our heart, tune ourselves to that, find him, cry out to him, tune ourselves to him, and he will respond. So that was something that Swami blessed me with when I was in my ninth standard. So yeah, so it is like I said, Swami teaching us was not always what people would say, you got so many chances with Swami. Obviously not. My experience from my eighth standard, where I was asked to leave the bhajan group, was one example of a lesson learned the hard way. Now, Swami would do so many other things to teach us, to tell us, that we are not on the path. So it was not always sweet lessons. There were some hard ones. So, for example, how Swami would tell us is how we would know that all is not well is if Swami would push the footstool inside during the bhajans, when he would be sitting on the throne, he would push the footstool as an indication that that is the end of the bhajan session. And when Swami sees that the mic is in front of you, and if he pushes the footstool inside, even before it is time for the bhajan to end, you know that something is wrong. That is Swami's indication saying that I am upset, you need to mend your ways. Then it is for us to find. Or the other way he would do is, when we are singing, there would be only one speed, and when we think that now my bhajan is going to take off into the second speed, Swami would just stop. He would just stop putting talam. He would be continuously putting talam on the throne, and he would just stop like this. And the brothers playing tabla, Sham and company, would stop the tabla, and then your bhajan has to stop there. Then you think, what happened? The bhajan was going well. The bhajan was going well, but all is not going well with you, is the lesson that Swami was trying to teach us. And then we would go back and introspect. So those are the other things that how Swami would teach us. And literally, there was a time when Swami had, when I was sitting in the bhajan group, Swami had called me during the bhajans and said that, this bhajan you had sung, sing that bhajan now. And I would go and sit back and sing that bhajan. So another time, Swami called me to the chair. I went and listened to what Swami said, and I came and silently sat back with my eyes downcast and my head down. And then when you come out, everybody says, "Hey, what did Swami say? He called you during bhajans. What did he say? What did he say?" That day, actually, Swami had called me during bhajans and said, "Kovvura Niku, go and sit." Kovvura Niku is very loosely, it would translate to something like arrogance. So it is not always that, we get, when Swami calls us to speak, he would tell us something this directly. For what? For putting us back on line, for us to find the tuning back with him. How Swami has, told us directly that, you are not concentrating on me during your prayer sessions. Why are we praying during a session? So that we tune to Sai. And if we have all these distractions, it may be anything. A musical instrument may be a distraction for us. Anything else may be. As long as we use all these as instruments to tune to Swami, then we are okay. Otherwise, we'll get direct lessons like this. So Yeah, like I said, ego is one thing, jealousy, no, and directly arrogance, no, please. Yeah, so that is something Swami had directly said to me one day during bhajans. So it was a big learning for me, um, saying that no, uh, when we pray to Swami, Swami says that we pray to Swami, there is a connect between us and Swami. So it's literally like you can think of it like a pipeline through which our devotion flows to Swami. And all these Arishad Vargas and all these things that we bring to us, all these negative traits that we bring with us, they're all dirt in that pipe. So how can our pure devotion reach Swami with purity unless we get rid of all these things? It's a beautiful visualization that we can have that Swami, I want that pipeline, that conduit between me and you, where I find that I can tune with you. I want that, without any of these things that you don't want me to have. So let us pray to Swami, asking him through this bhajan to grant us what this bhajan says. शिरडी साई परती साई हमको दीजो प्रेमामृत धारा प्रेमामृत धारा तब सेवा का अवसर दीजो सत्य साई महादेव गानामृत में भाव भी दीजो प्रेम साई भगवान प्रेम साई भगवान. So we are talking about this dhara. Shirdi Sai, Parti Sai, Humko Dijo, Premamrita Dhara. Let it be a flow. In that so-called pipeline that is there between us. Let it be an incessant flow, like how Radha's devotion was. Radha ko Adhara, Dhara Aradhana, as Swami would put it. The crux of Radha's devotion for Swami, for Lord Krishna, was her continuous flow of aradhana. So that is what Swami wants us. Premamrita dhara. Let it be a flow, a continuous flow. And how do we have it? Ganamritame. If we are doing it through this medium of singing, bhava bhi de do. Swami, you give me this bhava by which I can feel you within me. That is what I want. So um, that is yet another lesson. So Swami would ask for this Kavali, Saibina Rahana Jai, quite a few times. And we used to always, discuss saying that, some guest has come. So Swami has asked for this Kavali. Why? Swami wants, now you realize Swami wants that lesson to get into even whoever is a guest or group of guests or some devotees who have come from far away. Swami wanted this message to get to them. And this loving mother wanted, his students to sing these at such times. But there are times when Swami would motion to me like this, or with his eyes, motion saying that he wanted this kavali, and I have sung it. And when I would come out, some of the brothers have asked, why? Why did Swami ask you to sing the kavali today? Visibly there are no guests. Those are the times. It's not that when there are guests, the rest of us are left out. But those are times when Swami very specifically was telling us, it is for you guys. Come on, will the lesson that this Kavali, the lesson that this Kavali has, is it going to drive into your hearts or not? That was the thing. And then we would think and say, nobody was there. Nobody was there. It's a chance. It's a chance. What is a chance? It is a chance for us to find what the meaning of this was. And that is, again and again, I will say, Zara jhanko to paoge कि साई पास होता है. And yeah, I would say that this lesson through student days, or even after we started working, and all of us have sung this before Swami multiple times. But I think on 25th April 2011, when I sang this in the bhajan hall, was when this message hit the hardest, because every other time, I had the Lord physically there. And this was an occasion where, we all had to literally find Him within us. So, that was the day the lesson hit hardest. And I think that is the truest lesson of this Kavali, saying that we cannot live without Sai. Sai bin raha na jaye, चैन ना आए मोहे, चैन ना आए. Yeah, if we find that there are moments in our life that we don't have Sai, we should be, there should be something wrong with us, because it is not possible that we can have a life without Sai. Why? You'll say, where is Sai? Sai is here. Zara jhanko to paoge, Sai paas hota hai. So that is the day that this lesson hit really, really hard. And that was a lesson to take for the rest of our lives, saying that, find this beautiful Lord Sai close to us, strumming the strings of our heart. And I think I'll just be a little more, a couple of more incidents probably. So he's close to us as the heartbeat is, and with the strings playing that give us a tune to follow. So in Kodaikanal once, Swami, just thinking about Swami, who is always with us, Swami drove this lesson through one more episode where Swami was standing, and one by one, everyone was called to take a photo with Swami, standing next to Swami, and then go. So this is like, it was becoming a routine in one place, another place, third place. We had this individual photo with Swami in many places. And like I was saying some time back, not anything goes past Swami without him driving a lesson to us. Beautiful, merciful Lord. So he was, after the last session was ending, he said, Swami is standing, all of you are coming, going, coming, going. Jagat, Jagat. He said, the world is like that, temporary. Jagat, coming, going. Only Sai, only God is permanent. All others are going and coming. It was such a beautiful lesson from a photography session. Swami taught us this lesson that he is the one permanent person, and yes, he is always with us. And so that is the Lord. Talking about coming close to Swami, this physical proximity to Swami, um, who would not yearn for it? Yeah, we find him in our heart, but and there was a physical, beautiful Lord Swami, all of us would rush to Swami. So in Trai Brindavan, one day, one very senior devotee was standing, and when Swami would tell the boys, go into Trai for the Trai session, and there would be like 100, 200 boys literally rushing in because they wanted to sit very close to the jhula where Swami would sit. And everyone wanted to be as close to Swami as possible, to hear every word, if possible, touch the hem of his robe, if possible, kiss his hands or touch his feet. Everyone wanted to be close to Swami. And this, it's almost like, like in a cartoon, you see some dust going up, and there's a huge horde of boys running into Trai Brindavan. And this poor elderly gentleman didn't know this was going to happen. He was taken unawares, and these boys rushed in, nearly knocked the poor man over, and went, and a couple of flower pots were there which got broken. And the boy sat, and then when Swami came and sat, this gentleman this devotee got up and told Swami, Swami, you expect discipline from your boys. Is this the discipline that your boys have? Swami, they nearly hit me and they've broken pots, etc. And Swami, like I said, Swami takes discipline very seriously. And Swami said, Avunu, very correct. I am not going to talk to boys. This is not how you should do. You should have some discipline. And I am not going to talk to you. So a couple of days this happened, and then Swami was not talking to the boys. And then finally, after a lot of prayers, when that tuning becomes very, very, very strong, um, and then Swami called the boys into the trai, and then probably this elderly devotee was not very happy. Then couple of days, and then Swami has reconciled, and then as soon as the boy sat, and this elderly gentleman was also sitting there, Swami told him, Papam, after all, these boys are running for Swami and they are not running for the world. So, that is why he has forgiven. Just like Swami wants discipline to be there primarily, but then the sweet Lord melts his heart when he finds that, we are running for him and not for the world. And when the Swami says that we go towards the world, Swami says, if you are going towards the world, it is for what? Paropakarartham idam shariram. In our hospital, we have this, bold. Swami wanted to put bold in the hospital, saying that, Paropakarartham idam shariram. This body has been given to do help to others. That is why this body has been given. So if we are going to the world, this is what we are supposed to do. And how we are supposed to do this seva, Swami has given up, this beautiful incident where some of the elder devotees wanted that once a hospital started, they said, Swami, it's a free hospital, but the patients will take it lightly if they don't know how much it actually costs to give them. So Swami, in the discharge summary, once they are ready to go to the hospital, will mention that this was the cost of your surgery, but we are not charging you anything, so that they realize the value of it. Swami said, absolutely not. When you go home, your mother makes you a delicious dinner, then you sit, and at the end of the dinner, when you go, does your mother say your dinner costed 250 rupees, but you don't have to pay me anything? Everyone had to keep quiet. What a beautiful lesson this is from Swami, saying that no, when you have to do, it is like a mother giving to the children. That is how you have to do your seva. It is like everything that is mine, Swami, that belongs to you. When we say that to Swami, there is nothing that is ours. And what does he want us to do with that? He wants us to give to others. That is what Swami is all about. Give, 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 give to others. And let us have one more prayer through another bhajan, which says exactly this. दया करो मुझे हे साई श्यामा, शरण लगा लो मुझे कृष्ण कन्हैया, हे अनाथ नाथा श्री साई नाथा, जीवन ज्योत जला कन्हैया, जो कुछ मेरा सब है तेरा, जीवन ज्योत जला कन्हैया. We pray to Swami, Swami, light that lamp in our heart so I can see you here. So I can see that you are there. You are the one who's pulling the strings of my heart. You are the one who's, playing those tunes. You are the one who is residing here and telling me every moment what I'm supposed to do. And Swami, we are calling him Hey Anatha Natha. You are the one who does for, the anathas. You are the one, you are the Lord for the downtrodden. And what do? You're telling Swami, Swami, jo kuch mera, sab hai tera. Whatever is mine is yours, Swami. And Swami is the Natha for the anathas. So isn't our duty to go ahead and do as much seva as we can. That is what Swami has, paropakarattham idam shariram. And that is one beautiful lesson that comes to me when I think of this magnificent temples of healing that Swami has built. And like I said, Swami, when he takes personal interest in something, that is something that Swami goes 100% into, teaching us how we must get involved in anything that we become responsible for. Whether it is all these beautiful institutions that Swami has been, personally he's been there to supervise how it should be. We know this lovely Lord, how he has gone to the hostels when they were being built for the boys and taken care of every minute thing about what should be the angle of the writing board which is there on the cupboard of the students. He would say, no, no, they will get neck pain. It is too high. Build it like this. And no, no, the electrical wire should not be seen hanging. Now, this lighting is not good. You must add some more lighting. Painting is not proper. Then somebody asked, why Swami so much interest? No, 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 no. My boys are coming to stay here. Can we find a more loving Lord? And the same about any project that Swami has taken. We know how he personally goes when the super specialty hospital was being built. How every day he went there and took care to see that for all his children who are going to come through the ages into this temple of healing, that they will be taken care of with his love and grace. Everything he has taken, he takes personal interest, to the things, this Lord Sai we are talking about, whom we have to tune to, who teaches us Vedanta. He teaches us about the Atma. He teaches us how we are to reach the divine, how we are to attain him. And at the same time, Swami comes down to small, small things and teaches us. And as little boys, when we were part of the bhajan group, one day he called me and he said, did you come directly from the school here? I said, no, Swami, I went to the hostel and then I came. Then he pointed at my pocket and he said, there is an ink patch on your pocket. Manchid kaad kada. He said, no, you so lovingly, he said, it's not nice. No, it does not look nice. So that's why, first he said, are you coming straight from the school? So if you're coming straight from the school, the ink patch is kind of okay because you're still little children. But then if you're going to the hostel, Swami wanted, cleanliness. Personally, Swami would always want us to be clean. So, such beautiful small, small incidents where he teaches us how he wanted us to be, and he would teach us it so lovingly too. So, I think I will end here. Um, yes, I will end here. I just have this loving Lord who has taught us so much through so many means. What can we give him? तुमने क्या क्या किया है हमारे लिए, तुमने क्या क्या किया है हमारे लिए, हम न कर पाए कुछ भी तुम्हारे लिए, तुमने क्या क्या किया है हमारे लिए, हम न कर पाए कुछ भी तुम्हारे लिए, तुमने क्या क्या किया है हमारे लिए, कितने एहसान किए तुमने खुदा है सनम, 100 जन्म तुमको देते तो वो भी है कम, तुमने पतझड़ को सावन के धारे दिए, तुमने अश्कों के बदले सितारे दिए, तुमने क्या क्या किया है हमारे लिए, हम न कर पाए कुछ भी तुम्हारे लिए. This is a prayer that keeps going out to Swami, asking Swami, for all that you have done and you keep doing to us, what do we give you in return? Swami is the most beautiful, selfless Lord that we can have. He says, all that I ask you to be is for yourself. When he says, I ask you to be a better human being, it is not for me. He has told us, "Iti naak kaadu bangaru," so lovingly he'll say, some, bangarus, it is not for me. It is for your own good that I tell you these things so that you will improve in your life. Now, can we have some anything more selfless than this? Swami says, you follow what I say, you become good, you stay happy, and that is what I want. That when I took the courage to tell Swami one day in the bhajan hall near the door, I saw that the hem of his robe was a little torn, and which is normally not the case. Um, but I picked up the courage to tell Swami, Swami, he asked, what happened? Swami, your robe is a little torn. He said, oh, yo, papam, torn. He said, I am a poor man, sir, he said. And then everyone started laughing. And then when the laughter died down and Swami said, you all be good, then I am rich. That is a lesson. Even from a torn, hem of his robe, he has a lesson to teach us. He wants us to be good so that he is rich. Can you find a more selfless, more loving Lord? See, we cannot, Swami has said that, we cannot tune to him when our antenna is rusted. So Swami was speaking to the boys and he said, a rusted piece of iron does not get attracted to the magnet. And he said, continuous efforts must be made. He told the boys, continuous efforts must be made to see that the rust is removed so that you get attracted to the divine magnet. So when your antenna is rusted, we are not going to be able to tune to Swami unless we make continuous efforts to get rid of this rust. Swami went on to tell the students, how do you get rid of this rust? Swami said that laziness, that lack of effort on your part to get rid of this rust is, this laziness aspect. Swami was telling the boys, is rust is dust, and then finally it bursts. Swami in his beautiful, way he rhymes words, finally bursts. Do work, that is rest, and that is the best. And what is the work? Swami went on to tell the boys, the work that I want you to do to remove this rust is Satsang. Swami said, develop good company. When you develop good company continuously, that is how you will get rid of the rust. And when that rust is removed from the iron pieces that we are, we will get attracted to that divine magnet. And when that rust, vanishes from our antenna, that is when we can tune into the divine channel. That is when we can hear the strings that Swami is pulling in our hearts. That is when we can listen to him asking us to be what he wants us to be. He wants us to be his devotees, and he wants us how to be his devotees. He wants us to be his devotees with pure love in our hearts for everybody. And with this, I would like to conclude by thanking Swami and thanking all of you for giving me an opportunity to share some of my thoughts, because as I just mentioned, Swami said satsang is one way of getting rid of the rust. And this satsang, where we can all sit where we are and listen to Swami's glory, and that is what is going to remove our rust and make us be in Tune with Sai. Thank you. Sai Ram.
स्वामी के चरण कमलों में कोटि कोटि नमन और सभी दर्शकों को प्रेम भरा साई राम। सब यही बात सोच रहे होंगे कि स्वामी ये आनंद वर्षा, ये ज्ञान वर्षा, ये प्रेम वर्षा समाप्त ही ना हो। Really, brother, we are truly overwhelmed at this moment. And how to even begin thanking you? Thanking Swami first and foremost for how compassionate he is, for blessing us with such a beautiful satsang, such a wonderful opportunity to learn what wonderful sharings, what wonderful experiences and messages that Bhagawan has sent through you to all of us today. For all of us to meditate on them, to imbibe them, and to introspect our own spiritual endeavors, so we can realign and, yes, be in tune with the Swami which is deep within us. How beautifully you have put it. We are always looking to get in tune with our outside, but how to get in tune with our Lord who's closest to us. That transformation of heart is truly getting in tune with Sai, removing the dust, looking at the humility and the love of the Lord, how he teaches us all the things. His life is his message. And so touching it was when he says that, does a mother ever tell you how much you have eaten? And it is so touching that, and we as humans, we are always wanting to tell what we do. And the Lord is doing so much for us. He's giving us, like, even today, He's given us, all of us, so much through you. And that purity of heart which he tells us to develop. I will take a minute because it has reminded me of another very beautiful episode you have mentioned in another satsang, where Pandit Shiv Kumar Sharma ji comes to Bhagwan and Bhagwan asks him कि तुम कितना रियाज, कितना प्रैक्टिस करते हो रोज? तो पंडित जी कहते हैं, स्वामी 5 घंटा, 6 घंटा, कभी और ज्यादा भी करते हैं। अच्छा, स्वामी सेज, मेरे बॉयज कैसे गाते हैं? And he says, Swami, they sing so beautifully. And then Swami, innocently, he'll say, but my children don't have so much time to practice. How do they sing so beautifully? And, Pandit ji says, Swami, they are your students, which is true. But Bhagwan's words, again, is what I'm hearing you today. I mean, those words this entire episode just came out, and I wanted to share it with all of you, that Bhagwan said such beautiful, simple, but deep words for all of us. He said, they have pure hearts and they sing for me. How beautifully Bhagwan has surmised, everything for not only bhajan sevaks, for each and every sai sevak, that beautiful heart, that transformed heart, where only he is there. That is what we have to develop and offer everything we do, our bhajans, our seva, every thought, word, and deed, only for Swami. And today, this message that you have so beautifully, such a beautiful way you have, gotten so many different episodes and events of your life, and truly, truly imprinted. Again, Bhagwan has given us this opportunity to once again, you awaken us that once again we all must look at what we are doing and, get in tune with Sai, understand what Swami wants. And thank you so much for taking out your precious time. We all know how difficult and how tight your schedule is. We truly, truly are thankful to Swami, thankful to you for connecting with us, brother. कहते हैं कृष्ण के अवतार में जो बाल बाल थे वो मुनिजन और ऊंचे दिव्य आत्मा थे। कलियुग में साई अवतार के साथ जो ये दिव्य आत्मा है वो सब उनके छात्र हैं। There is no doubt about that. We are feeling so blessed at this moment. And I also would like to take this opportunity on behalf of all the devotees around the globe to thank you, Brother Ravi, for all your bhajans. Because whenever we hear them, it gives us peace. We are connected with our Bhagwan. Whatever may be happening in our life, the moment we hear your bhajan, we say everything can be put. We are in a bliss at this moment. So may Swami keep you close to his heart, keep you in his divine protection, and may you always remain healthy, happy, and always sing and give us all this wonderful bliss that you have been doing. Thank you once again. Thank you so much. We will have the Mangal Aarti now. We thank our back-end team for all the support and the wonderful way in which this program is brought together. Brother Ravi, thank you once again. Thank you, Swami.
Thank you.
Jai Sai Ram to one and all.
जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी सत्य साई हरे भक्त जना संरक्षक भक्त जना संरक्षक पति महेश्वरा ओम जय जगदीश हरे शशिवदना श्रीकरा सर्वा प्राणपते स्वामी सर्वा प्राणपते आश्रित कल्पलतिका आश्रित कल्पलतिका आवद्मानवा ओम जय जगदीश हरे माता पिता गुरुदैवमो मरियन्तयो नीवे स्वामी मरियन्तयो नीवे नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथा नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथा नागेन्द्र शयना ओम जय जगदीश हरे ओंकार रूपा ओजर शिव साई महादेवा सत्य साई महादेवा मंगल आरती अंधको मंगल आरती अंधको मंगल गिरिधारी ओम जय जगदीश हरे नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम नारायण नारायण शांति 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 समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु शांति 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 जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय। परमं
पवित्रं भावाविभूतिं परमं विचित्रं लीलाविभूतिं परमार्थइष्टार्थमोक्षप्रदानं भावाविभूतिम् इदमाश्रयामि परमं पवित्रं भावाविभूतिं परमं विचित्रं लीलाविभूतिं परमार्थइष्टार्थमोक्षप्रदानं भावाविभूतिम् इदमाश्रयामि परमं पवित्रं भावाविभूतिं परमं विचित्रं लीलाविभूतिं परमार्थइष्टार्थमोक्षप्रदानं भावाविभूतिम् इदमाश्रयामि।
ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। 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 ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्।